The Moreness Show with hosts Sil and Beena is about to bring depth and value into your life.
And welcome to the Moreness Show with Sil and Beena, and we are here today again. The general theme of our show is Moreness-in-Action, and this is quite sounds a bit contradictory than when you are talking about all the thinking and of course extrapolating and deep thinking, and then you are saying that okay, it is an action. But it is actually not, because we have this kind of an assumption about when you are thinking something, it is only about thinking. In Moreness-Culture, it is absolutely not the case. We have to implement every single thing, whatever we are having trust in. And when we say something, we have to deliberately put it in action. Implementation is the base and the core and everything about Moreness-Action. And that's why Sil actually just give this title, that Moreness-in-Action. So we are thinking about, we are talking about, when we are sharing about Moreness concept, we are also implementing it. And today we have another concept of Way-Of-Impeccability and Moreness-Culture, capital R reading. When we say capital R reading, of course, you can see out there many techniques about reading deeply and of course extracting more. But in capital R reading, especially from Way-Of-Impeccability and Moreness-Culture, what we do is we go not only beyond the words, which has been said clearly, obviously, and try to understand the context, but also we go and connect with the intent, not only just the words and the story or situation describes or the concepts that are described in any situation or in any writing, but also we go a bit further and then try to connect with the intent. Words might seem like in the beginning that, okay, someone is saying something else, but the intent is the soul of that purpose, the soul of that act. And we always try to connect with that. This is capital R reading for me from Way-Of-Impeccability and Moreness-Culture. And this is what we are going to do today. Thank you so much, Sil, for giving me time, and welcome to the show.
Oh, I love it when you just share. It's brilliant, Beena. I can listen to you all day. Listen to you all day. And now, in this capital R reading, to just come at what Beena said in a different way, which is part of capital R reading, looking at things from multiple perspectives. It's intrinsic to not only Way-of-Impeccability, but Moreness-Culture. Perspective shifting to multiple perspectives. It is a crucial skill. Capital R reading. Now I'm listening to you, Beena. It struck me that it is the act or action of connectivity. We're taking the intent of what's written, because it's reading, but it's perceiving. It doesn't just say you can do it with art, with music, with anything, or the world. But we'll just stick with reading today. We're taking the intent of what's written, we're taking our intent, and we are connecting that. Then, we've got a point in space. Then from that point, we are also going to be connecting to the universe, to the world, to other things, to context, to history, to all sorts of things. So it is a stepping stone to greater connectivity. Right?
What's the benefit of it?
Isn't that self-evident?
For
Moreness is the benefit.
Oh, definitely it is, but also that once you learn to connect with the intent, and then of course to learn to connect it with your intent, the author's or writer's intent, and then to connect it with the universe intent, you always get the real crux of those things, and also the connectivity, as Sil mentioned that with the other word, and also it gives you a clarity and also a checking mechanism. What you are perceiving is actually making sense. So this is the benefit of that. The second most important for anyone who is going to do that you don't need to memorize anything after that.
There you go. Because you now know it. You understand.
It is going to stay within you, with you always. You don't need to do that because it will become your own. Then it will become your own.
Right. It is the skill. You say, what's the benefit? Well, first of all, you get enhanced or enriched. You get moreness added to you, right? So your life is just flavored. Yeah? Instead of eating bland food, you eat flavorful food. Instead of listening to music that's just pling, 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 right? One note at a
Yeah.
time, you listen to an orchestra. It's the same thing, right? Now,
Yeah.
this is just enhancing and enriching life. But the other benefit is capital R reading is a skill. It's a
Mm.
skill to practice. I was telling Beena, I heard on the news, and they were talking about somebody who's been out of the public eye, a public figure, and they came back and they said one of her first outings or first appearances, And now they just said it casually and they went, oh, blah, blah, blah. If you don't practice things like capital or reading, you don't miss that. What do you mean one of her first? It's either the first or it's not, right? So it's just the skill of perception. Now, right, you say, does it matter in that case? No. Does it matter the skill of being able to see the lateness and the moreness in other ways? Absolutely. Just take relationships.
Mm.
Yeah, you say, oh, yeah, I kind of didn't see a lot of stuff in the beginning, and oh, goodness, did it turn out to be a bad idea? Why? Because you could not see the moreness involved. In some cases, you say, well, okay, it was quite moreness, but I didn't see all of it. Exactly.
So what you are saying, capital R reading is not limited to reading only.
No.
It is reading, not only reading
Correct.
books only, reading
Correct.
art only,
Correct.
but
Correct.
it is reading
Correct.
people and situation also.
It is a subset of capital P perceiving. Right? So you got
Okay.
capital P perceiving, then you got capital R reading, capital L listening, capital H hearing, capital S smelling maybe, all enhanced. You'll be surprised what you can tell just from sounds, right? If you pay attention, especially when you start adding the crux of it, which is the perception of intent. This is a crucial, crucial, crucial skill. Just take your relationships. Yeah. Rewind that first meeting with something that turned out to be a bad relationship or a bad date. Rewind it. Yes. And now watch that movie. Watch that movie in your mind, and see how it plays out. Now pay attention not only to the intent of the other person, but to the intent of the entirety of the circumstance, and ask yourself, what's the intent here? Not their intent, but the intent. You'll be surprised. You'll be surprised. You start to connect to the universe's intent, to the world's intent, or you could call it your subconscious intent. Doesn't matter what the term is, but you're connecting to an intent that is larger than what you regularly hear and know and understand. Right? It's like a third intent that is involved. Oh, you say, oh, the intent was for me to learn because, I always I fall for this type, like typical things. You heard it say, like your girlfriend says, oh, I always fall for the bad boys. Well, the intent here is to kind of say, don't fall for the bad boy. He's obviously a bad boy. Look at his intent. What is he? He's just, in there for, quick and easy, out to go. He's not interested in a relationship, but you don't want to see that. So, the greater intent is for you to learn. When we start to connect to this kind of moreness, what a rich life we live. Like everything has value, everything has meaning, everything has purpose, everything's a gift, it's a joy. It changes how we live. Right?
Okay. Before we
hang
go
on.
into
We'll up. Go ahead.
before
No,
we go into details of capital R reading and actually going to do that, I just want to have just a quick definition of, because Sil is continuously using a term intent. He's not saying intention. So it is an intent,
no.
and this word, this concept from Moreness-Culture, from Way-Of-Impeccability is completely different to intention. So just giving you a disclaimer here that intent and intentions are different in Moreness-Culture, because intent is
there's
something.
A big gap between them.
Yes, and we are going to do maybe in some other next programs in show, we are going to talk about intent also, and the difference between intention and intent, and how crucial.
You don't want me to elaborate on it now? I thought there was a setup.
No, it is a big topic, and I just want you to do that.
All right.
Yes.
Again, capital R reading. I'm not going to go into it because, like Beena says, we'll save it for now. But if you apply it and you just think about it a bit, you can figure it out for yourself. That's the magic of capital R reading. You're training your brain to figure it out for yourself. We have centuries where we've been trained and bred to not figure it out for yourself.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Yeah?
I still remember
how
hard it was for me. When you were saying,
right.
Beena, okay, I was asking questions and you were saying that, okay, figure it out, think about it.
Right.
And
right.
I was like, okay, he's not into like, okay, not giving me answers, because I was trained to ask questions and getting the answer from someone else. But now it is a different thing. So yes.
Yeah. And the discerning listener might say, wait a second. So I already say bread. What do you mean bread? You know, like, okay, you breed your animals for speed or size or strength or milk production or whatever. But we weren't bred as humans. Are you talking some conspiracy theory? No, not directly. So it's bred, but with a little bit of looseness to it. But think back over the centuries, right? You have like your feudal system, or even in the military, like, you know, in Roman times, right? Where pretty much, you know, a very large bulk of your population serves in the military, and then from there. Either way, if you have too many questions, if you question authority, if you're against this or you don't have the option of protest that we have today. Yeah. If you did, especially in the feudal systems, what happens to you? Simply get killed. End of story. So as a result, that questioning, that thoughtfulness, that's out of the gene pool. Right? So we don't think of it this way. Oh yeah, it's a big deal. It's a very big deal.
What you are saying that what we are assuming questioning is completely different to what actually questioning was. Like questioning someone and questioning something. So because when in those times when people were questioning things, that was a big deal. So we just shifted to just asking for someone else's perspective. It is not actual questioning.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Well, and also just if you're a follower and you just accept the status quo, well, you're okay. Your life isn't threatened. Anybody who doesn't quite accept the feudal system and the feudal lords or whatever, you know, they get kicked out. They get you know, banished, and they on the fringes of society, and they struggle, right? So they don't obviously have children then, right? Because it's not practical, or at least have less. So obviously those genes did survive because we have this in us. But you know, our culture is also, we inherit a culture of following, of obedience. When you go to school, what is school all about? School is all about being obedient. That's it. That's the most important thing at school. Not what you learn and all that. Yes, it's supposed to be you pass the exams, but after that, not. But as an individual, inside my head, the thing I'm thinking about that's important to me is to not break the rules, not get into trouble, and that's it. Right? That's my objective day in and day out. Yeah. So same thing with bullies as well. Don't get noticed, you know. So don't question. So there's a big premium on this. I just want to make one more quick point here. Just think about this at school, at least the schools that we grew up. Maybe it's different today. I hope so. But neither Beena and I, and Beena's, you know, a generation or two later than me, right? Neither in our schooling you were taught to do this because to get a job. That was the intent, to get a job. Not one single time, not once, not even when I was in university and studying business science, right? Not once did somebody say, oh, you know, learn this and this in case you want to start your own business. Not once.
Never.
It was simply not an option. And think about that for a little bit. How come not? So, in other words, you go through a whole life, you're taught to get a job. Who are the people who actually start the businesses that you're getting a job from? Just think about it, right? It's quite astonishing how this is simply not taught as an option. Why not? Why are we not taught this? So there's a culture that makes us by default and inadvertently following. It's like the default. You just assume, oh, well, get a job, you become a follower. you're not thinking for yourself, right?
Oh,
So
yes.
it's
So,
a
yes, this is what
very,
we do. This is what
very
we have
big
been.
deal, right?
Yes,
Now,
this is what we have been taught also. But we will continue
exactly.
after a
Oh,
short
we have a
commercial
break. Oh, we have a break.
break. Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, we will
All right.
have a short commercial break and see you again.
All right.
Mike Zoric, a three-time California state champion in Greco-Roman wrestling at 114 pounds. Mike, blind since birth, was born in Hartford, Connecticut. He was a six-time national placer, including 2 seconds, 2/3, and 2/4. He also won the Veterans Folk-Style Wrestling twice at 152 pounds. In all these tournaments, he was the only blind competitor. Nancy Zoric, a creative spirit whose talents have taken her to the stage and into galleries and exhibitions in several states. Her father, a commercial artist who shared his instruments with his daughter and helped her fine-tune her natural abilities, influenced her decision to follow in his footsteps. Ms. Zoric has enjoyed a fruitful career doing what she loves. Listen Saturday mornings at 12 Eastern for the Nancy and Mike Show for heartwarming stories and interesting talk on the BBM Global Network.
Are you struggling to care for elderly parents or a spouse? Do you wonder if being a caregiver is making you sick? Are you worried about taking time off work to care for elderly parents and balance work, life, and caregiving? Has caregiving become exhausting and emotionally draining? Are you an aging adult who wants to remain independent, but you're not sure how? I'm Pamela D. Wilson. Join me for the Caring Generation radio show for caregivers and aging adults, Wednesday evenings, 6 Pacific, 7 Mountain, 8 Central, and 9 Eastern, where I answer these questions and share tips for managing stress, family relationships, health, well-being, and more. Podcasts and transcripts of The Caring Generation are on my website, PamelaDWilson.com, plus my caregiving library, online caregiver support programs, and programs for corporations interested in supporting working caregivers. Help, hope, and support for caregivers is here on The Caring Generation and PamelaDWilson.com.
And welcome back to the show with Sil and Beena. And before the show, Sil was actually explaining something, and we will continue our Kepler reading just after that. Please continue.
I wanted to just add, I was talking about this learning to think for ourselves. Now, and say not to be a follower. So I say, wow, so you sound like a revolutionary, like a reactionary. No, I'm not anti-society either. No. The magic of the world is incredible to me. The Moreness is there. It's up to you to extract it and get it. It's just there. You have to connect to it. However, the point I'm making, it is about learning to perceive the Moreness of life, not going against it, but going with life, right? So all of what I'm saying is not anti-society or being rebellious. No, it's none of that. The world is what the world is. If you're on a path to Moreness, the world becomes all of this. It's like a book. It's what you get out of it, but it's not what the book says. It's what you take out of it. That's two different things. Extracting Moreness is very different to having Moreness given to you. You can't really get Moreness given to you, right? You have to learn to connect to it yourself. You have to learn to perceive it yourself. It's a skill, right, Beena? Right.
Yes, absolutely.
No. To get to our actual capital R reading, yes? We're going to, we last week, I read a poem and I thought we'll continue with the poems because the poems are very powerful. They take a lot, and that's the magic of poetry. It compacts things, right, into a tiny fractal, right? If you don't know fractals, go and look it up. But really, in essence, a fractal is a very basic pattern which through repetition leads to incredible complexity, right? And so a fractal is like a seed or like a cabinet file in computing, a self-opening file. You just have to give it a bit of energy and it leads to more. Poetry is like that, as we are going to see now, right? So we're going to read some of Beena's poetry. So I took a long time. Beena's poems aren't long like mine. Well, I have short poems, but I have some very long ones too. Like epic poems, actually. Kind of style.
Actually, anyway. it takes a lot to write more, of course. And as someone who was not even able to understand that, okay, I can write poetry. It was like, okay, learn to say things, learn to express things, and my concepts, my ideas, and my feelings in just bare minimum. So this is what I
Right.
was doing.
Right.
Yes.
Well, also, when you read the poetry, you'll hear Beena's capital V voice, right? The poetic voice, the author voice, and that's very important to find your voice. You can have many voices, but to find a voice, right? And that's like a resonation with you, with your being you express. All right. So I'll read the poem, and then we'll go over it, and we'll do the capital R reading. So first, let me read. All right. You ready, Beena?
Yes.
You ready?
Yes.
You ready, Beena?
Yes. I'm not getting it.
No. It's just I said you ready, and then you said yes, and then it just came again the second yes, and as I started.
Okay.
So, all right, here we go. Someone among us, sitting there by you or me, breathing heavy, gasping air, but flaunting dimples, shining lips, clacking heels, nibbling gherkin tips, smiling lips. Someone among us, trembling hands abutting bones, breaking life. Dying inside needs time. What's peace? Someone among us, or
Yes.
be so.
Yes. Okay.
What a
It's a
poem!
kind of.
What a poem! What a poem!
It's a kind of like very emotional and then very intense for me.
Yes. But let's go
Because
by line, Beena. We'll hold your underlying intent, because we need to come at this from a reader who doesn't know anything.
Okay.
So we say someone among us. Just the first line is evocative. Yes. Someone. We don't know who, but someone among us. Somebody there, sitting there by you or me, breathing heavy, gasping air. And also, by the way, since we're doing capital R reading is many things. You're looking at the thing itself, it's an onion. And you're looking at the layer around it, another layer, context. Just in the poetic context, look how Beena rhymes in the middle of the sentence. Someone among us, the key point. And this is a refrain. It's going to come up again, right? It's repeated 3 times. Yeah. So it's epistrophic, in other words. But it's more of a refrain than an epistrophe, because epistrophe is more of a close repeat. So I don't know, there's probably a technical term for it, but a refrain maybe is good. Anyway, but look at the next. So she isolates this right on that first line to give it its own prominence. But now the sentence, sitting there by you or me, sitting there by you or me, breathing heavy, gasping air. Air rhymes with there, right?
Yes.
But it's a middle of the sentence rhyme. But look at the cadence, right? Someone among us, sitting there. You can't help but emphasize there. You can't read it as sitting there by you or me. No, it's just not poetic to read it that way, right? Sitting there by you or me. There's an automatic little tiny fraction of a pause after there. There is a little bitty emphasized, right? Breathing heavy, comma, gasping air. It automatically brings that rhyme. And there wasn't an intent to rhyme necessarily. It's just the way it came, right, Beena? You weren't looking for a rhyme. It's the way it came out, right? All right, so now let's get into the capital R reading part of it, right? We have the someone among us. So an anonymity, anonymousness, right? Anonymity. Sitting there by you, but also close by, unrecognized by implication. Breathing heavy, gasping air. Now, this is, I would assume from my personal reading, they're not literally breathing like gasping air, right? It's figurative. It's figurative.
Yes, absolutely.
When you are inside you, you breathing heavy, gasping air, you kind of in a place that's you're struggling, right? By implication, yes. This is the art of capital R reading. It is looking at implication, right, and seeing what the greater meaning is, and also learning to see things metaphorically, figuratively, symbolically, right? So, yes, you could say, well, I could read this as literal, someone among us sitting there by you or me, breathing heavy, gasping air. But then it's not a poem to read it as if they're literally doing this, right? See, then that just takes the whole poetry away. So if you read it that way, so we have to understand context. The context is it's a poem, right? But it comes, right? But flaunting dimples, shining lips, clacking heels, nibbling gurkha tips, smiling lips. This rhythm that Beena has is a very, to me, unique rhythm, right? Again, if we read that, but flaunting dimples, shining lips, clacking heels, nibbling gurkha tips. Then there's an automatic pause in your breathing. You have to make now smiling lips. You have to make it its own ending as an emphasis. Right? You can't read it in one. Yeah. I mean, you could say technically you could maybe put a comma there, but it's not a comma. It's a natural finishing of that stanza, right? So let's read the stanza again, and we'll get into the second one. Someone among us, sitting there by you or me, right there, the way it's phrased puts you into an air of a different time and space, right, Beena?
Yes.
Someone among us, sitting there by you or me, breathing heavy, gasping air. I'm transported already just from that. But you say, oh, flaunting dimples. But you don't even need to read any further to really grasp the essence of the poem.
Yes.
But
that
tells you all that there is. In other words, this someone who's sitting there by you or me, internally grasping, breathing heavy, grasping air. But on the surface, they are showing something different. On the surface, they're flaunting dimples. What a way to say being phony and false and putting on a brave face, right? Okay, not necessarily phony and false, but putting on a brave face, you know, showing the world one thing, but inside is different. Flaunting dimples, not pretend dimples, flaunting. Yeah, because think of it, when people do, right, and they flaunt it, yeah, it's brilliant. Shining lips, same thing. Flaunting dimples, shining lips, clacking heels. It's all the outfit, and nibbling gurkha tips. Now, I have no idea what gurkha tips are. I know what a gurkha is. They are a peoples of northern India, up there in the Himalayas, right? Himalayas, not Himalayas, people. Himalayas. Okay.
Yes.
Anyway. So gurkha tips, does it matter that you know what gurkha tips are? No, it doesn't matter. I mean, it could be gherkins, for instance, you know, who cares? It doesn't matter. But we don't have to know what it means. It just works in the rhyme. It's obviously something trivial, superficial, right? Doesn't matter. Smiling lips.
Yes.
You say, wow. To me, this is the magic of the poetry. You've set it up, flaunting dimples, very poetic, right? Shining lips, or creating an image, clacking heels, nibbling gurkha tips, doing all the cool stuff, the fashionable stuff, the in stuff, right?
Yes.
But there's a but in front of it, right? And it ends with smiling blips. Yes. A blip is something that, you know, like your screen blips. It's like, oh, what was that, right? A glitch in the matrix. Yeah.
Yes.
Right. Oh, please jump in anytime, Beena. I'm just going through it here.
I just want you because I don't want to, because there are things which I'm going to share from my perspective at that time and now.
All right, so let me continue then. And here we come again with this potent line, someone among us. A very layered thing that is very evocative, right? And it has a poignancy to it. Someone among us. It's very poignant, right? Trembling hands abutting bones, faking life. It doesn't matter that, well, your hands automatically abut your bones. Yeah, it's like stating the obvious. But trembling hands abutting bones. If you take it in a more figurative, more layered, more nuanced hands, right? Obviously, the trembling hands are, but they're abutting bones, which is your root, your solid, your core, right? Conflict, in other words. Things aren't quite what they should be, supposed to be. Yeah. there's an unreality here. There's a struggle that is in conflict with itself. Trembling hands, abutting bones. You would think, well, there's bones that shouldn't. Right? So very, very, very evocative in that, right? And then that potent line that really smacks it down. How? Faking life. Not faking coolness, not faking at ease, not faking, sensibility, sobriety, looking cool, intelligent, whatever. Success, none of that. Faking life. This dire indictment. It's an indictment, at least for me, right? Okay, this is my opinion, obviously, right? Dying inside needs time. This is the philosopher Beena. Incredible statement. What an incredible statement to follow faking life. Dying inside needs time. If you engaged in this kind of activity, it's like, holy moly, it takes time, and there goes your life. So all of this faking of life is dying inside, and you're basically going to spend your whole life doing this. Yeah? Wants peace. Someone. Now it's a kind of a jump there, right? Dying inside, wants peace. It's almost like inverting it to say this person, in other words, wants peace. Someone among us, or maybe us.
Yes.
Don't be so quick to assume it's someone else. It could be me. It could be me. It could be me. Yeah, and this is incredibly potent. Yes, just from a poetic point of view, because without that, or maybe us, it simply becomes a criticism and a commentary, not an understanding of inner psychology. Yes. Now, it doesn't mean Beena feels this way. It just means Beena understands the psychology, right? Right? Not necessarily. You can understand something from the inside because you've gone through it, right? You've discerned it internally. Doesn't mean you're experiencing, right? Two different things. We'll come back after the break, right, Beena?
Yes, we will come after the break, and I want you to just read it again in one go.
Right.
So then I will share my understanding at that time and my understanding now. This is going to be different.
I'm looking forward to it. All right.
Yes. Okay, we'll see you after a short commercial break.
Dr. RC will share extraordinary resources and services that promote educational success, as well as making a difference in the lives of all social workers, as well as the lives of children, adolescents, and teens of today. She will have open discussions addressing many of the issues that we face about our youth and how being employed in the uniquely skilled profession of social work for over 18 years has taught invaluable lessons through her personal experiences. She will also provide real-life facts, examples, and personal stories that will confirm that why serving as a child advocate is extremely beneficial when addressing the needs of the whole child. Listen live to Dare to Soar, Saturdays, 10 a.m. Eastern on the BBM Global Network, and tune in radio as Dr. RC will provide thought-provoking information that will empower, encourage, and strengthen students, families, and communities across our nation. You can also visit her at soarwithkatie.com. Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness, Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them, rediscover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies, find settings that allow them to be the most productive, and track their progress towards accomplishing goals. Listen to John Hawkins' My Strategy, Saturdays, 1 p.m. Eastern on the BBM Global Network and TuneIn Radio.
Beena was sharing.
Welcome back to the Moreness Show with Sil and Beena again. and Sil is going to read it in just one go for the
Sure.
sake of like having it completion. So please, Sil.
Right. Well, before I read again, Beena was just and I wanted to get the sneeze out before I started reading. Beena was sharing during the break how emotional the poem is making her again. Right?
Yes.
And that's
Yes.
what it's all about. I'll read again. Someone among us, sitting there by you or me, breathing heavy, gasping, but flaunting dimples, shining lips, clacking heels, nibbling gurkha tips, smiling. Someone among us, trembling hands of butting bones, waking life. Dying inside needs time, wants peace. Someone among us, or maybe us.
Yes. Beautiful. Thank you for reading again. I'm
use of
busted.
rhythm, Beena, and cadence and shifting it.
Okay. As Sil was sharing before that my poems are relatively short, but today I'm not saying it, I'm not sharing as this is my thing and all that, but just by reading this poem as someone else also, like, okay, it is not
as a
connected.
poem that came through you.
Also, it is not even entirely not connected to me. When I'm reading this, when I'm listening this, it is making me so emotional because it is very, very, very intense because these are the things I'm the person who might not do regularly, might not share regularly in poetry because kind of an idea living in La La Land that, okay, poetry needs to like really uplift you and enhance your mood and energy and all that. But this poem is different. But as always, it brings a lot of moreness. So I'm going to first share what I was feeling at that time and how this poem is actually came into being. So I saw an image that was a painting and a guy sitting at in a bar on a counter, wearing a suit, having dimples, and
on the counter or at the counter?
At the counter, I guess.
Sorry. Well, I just want to get the image in my mind right, because it may be.
Okay, thank you so much. And of course, like, okay, other people in the background, you can see that, okay, high heels and good clothing and all that. That person who was sitting there having a glass and a cigar in his hand, and by the first look, he was looking like all fine. But if you look closely, observe that painting, you can see that pain, that weakness, that trembling hands in that image also, especially from his eyes in the painting. And that really inspires me. Now, today, I realize that I was doing capital R reading of that painting.
Yes, you were. Exactly.
Because on surface, that painting was nothing emotional or intense, nothing. It was just a guy sitting there having good clothing and all that high-end things. But in his eyes, there was a subtle difference in that. And then I was getting more and more out of it. So this is what was my perspective. Like, I was just really moved by that painting. I have no idea. And it was not a classic, not a famous painting. It was just a random picture, just image. I got it on internet. And I don't know even the name of that painter. It could be just an illustration of something. So it doesn't matter to me because that was, the intent was inspiring me to write something. And I was not aware that I was doing capital R reading of that image. Okay. So what I was connecting, which might not be the intent of that painter or artist. They might be painting with a completely different intent. They might want to express something different. It could be just an illustration for something. But it was my intent which overrides the intent of that image and brings out so much out of it. Completely different to me. Not necessarily different, but at least I can say that, okay, it could be. There are very bright chances that it could be completely different to the intent.
Yes.
And that was, of course, extracting the moreness. Again, I was not aware of it.
Exactly.
What I was doing at that time, I was not aware of it. Right. Today, when I still was reading, and I was feeling my emotions at that time. It was not their emotion, it was my emotions.
Yes.
And because in Moreness-Culture, in Way-Of-Impeccability, and also the superiority paradigm, still have a book about it, a really thorough book about understanding of the superiority paradigm also, that to understand that I had all those things in my mind, how we get into the should mindset, how we have the superiority paradigm really in place in everything, in every aspect of our life. And that might be. Sometimes we do things even without realizing what we are doing. But when later on, when you go back and you read, and then you realize that what it was, because in my subconscious, all the things were there already. And I was actually extracting the moreness from there. So this is the story behind that. And now we will go line by line, because I cannot do this like the way Sil is doing, because he has this understanding of poetry, especially in English. I can do it in my regional language, in my language, but not necessarily I can describe the technicalities of poetry in English. Because when I'm writing, I'm just writing it. I'm not doing it for the sake of like, okay, I'm going to write a perfect poem.
No, and that's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of it.
Yes.
That's why I love your poetry. It is real. It's not constructed. It's not looking to make it in this format, put it into a sonnet or whatever, and there's a zillion types of poetry, you know? So format. No, you are writing and you create your own neatness, and it's an expression. That's the
Yes.
You mentioned something, Beena. I want to quick out. Oh, go ahead.
Okay. I was just saying that, okay, why I'm writing in English? I cannot help it, because this language really actually bring the creativity out of me. So when I'm painting,
not English, but the language of conceptuality.
But yes, I'm saying that because this is not my mother tongue, but still I'm doing poetry in this. Not because of any should nonsense, but it is just that this language actually brings out creativity for me. It is the matter.
Right,
it's
but not English, Beena. The language is the language of conceptuality, right? That has brought it out in you.
Yes, this is also, but I'm just saying that for any reader that, okay, why, if this is not your language and you don't know technicalities of poetry, why you are doing this? So I'm just sharing that, okay, why I'm doing this. So,
I mention it because you've learned through language of conceptuality, dictionary of power, and Way-Of-Impeccability. You've learned to conceive, which is a creative act. You've learned to conceive, yes, and this conception ability is connected to English, because that's what we practice, part of capital reading.
You are giving it the abstract concept, the abstract understanding of this. I was just sharing the local thing that, okay, yes, this is my. Even though it is not my mother tongue, it is not my language, the first
doesn't matter, it's brilliant.
But it's still, this is the language which brings out so much for me. So that's why I cannot help it but do this. Yes.
But that's the beauty of your poetry. You aren't looking to put a bunch of words together that sound pretty.
No.
We have a person on, a Facebook friend that we know, somebody who writes, but it's words that sound pretty, and it's not poetry to me. Yeah, it's a poem, but it's not poetry. Yeah. However, your poems aren't about making the words. No, they're about expressing what you perceive, which is something very powerful. You perceive the depth, you perceive layered, and that's the comment I wanted to make. You mentioned it was a random painting.
Yes.
Let's say you said to AI, hey, find me a random painting, just a random painting of a person, right, in a social setting, and they could have come up with that particular painting, not created by the AI, but a pre-existing painting.
Yes.
Now here's the point. The point I want to make, that word random. If you look at the content of this poem and you take any random picture, you can take a photograph even of a social setting, you are likely going to perceive what you perceive, because it is relatively common in part of the human experience. right?
Yes.
And so you are commenting on something that is not there. It's not pervasive necessarily, but it's certainly not unfamiliar. We may all go through it at some point in our lives, and we realize and then we change, or we don't, right? So you're commenting on the human condition, and that is, to me, the magic of the poem. That ineffability, which we want to connect to. It's hard to express. That's why it's ineffable. Right? Ineffability is a magic. It's beyond us. We can't express it. It's a moreness. Really fantastic. But also, it's a wake up. Without saying, hey, wake up and get your act together. It does so without preaching, without telling you. It's sharing this situation, this circumstance.
Okay.
And you recognize it and you feel it. And it's potent, like Beena says, very emotional, even though it's not personal, it's still emotional.
Even though, yes.
It's fantastic.
Okay, one more thing before I go into that. Naturally, my words are a bit more. You can say that my expression is more flamboyant. Like this is what I have. It comes out with the drama. Okay, this is not deliberate. It just comes out in that way. Like someone among us.
Your poetic soul.
Yeah, someone among us. That just right there, the statement that, okay, be alert. This is something about you. It can be. It creates a suspense also, and it creates connectivity. That okay, don't go random. Yes.
Sorry to interrupt you. We're going to have to start again now. The reason why is because I'm thinking if I'm watching, I said, I want to hear Beena read the poem.
Yeah, okay, but we will do it later. I just want to share that, okay, what I have.
All right.
Okay, so this, when I said someone among us, I'm not doing again as a reader when I'm reading this, it's a drama there. It's a drama right there that, okay, oh yes, please. And also it's the connectivity. That yes, you can be in your thoughts, you can be in your own paradigm and all that, but no, just connect to what is around you, what is surrounding you, what is inside you. Yeah, it's a right there a statement which can actually connect you with that. And then he said, okay, sitting there by you or me, giving a more connectivity to that. And then breathing heavy, gasping air. This is something like, oh my God, now this is again a drama here. That what is going on there? It is pretty intense. And I'm saying a drama because this is the way I perceive as a reader this poem. That, okay, first the statement, second, that elaboration of that, okay, what the statement was, the previous statement. And third, a new scene into this. And this is something like more details. This is very intense. The curtain raiser, and then you have these things coming out. So brilliant. Okay, I'm not saying it again. Oh, Beena, you did brilliant. No, this is the poem I'm reading, and this is what I'm sharing. A curtain raiser for a small poem, just by a very bold statement, then just a bit more detail on this, and then a completely different scene. This is like one by one and one. Three striking right there. So I love this anyway.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow. We'll continue after the break.
Yes, we will continue after the break. Yes, and then we will, after the break, we will see what is butt about here. Okay?
Yes.
See you after the short commercial break.
Are you struggling to care for elderly parents or a spouse? Do you wonder if being a caregiver is making you sick? Are you worried about taking time off work to care for elderly parents and balance work, life, and caregiving? Has caregiving become exhausting and emotionally draining? Are you an aging adult who wants to remain independent, but you're not sure how? I'm Pamela D. Wilson. Join me for the Caring Generation radio show for caregivers and aging adults, Wednesday evenings, 6 Pacific, 7 Mountain, 8 Central, and 9 Eastern, where I answer these questions and share tips for managing stress, family relationships, health, well-being, and more. Podcasts and transcripts of The Caring Generation are on my website, PamelaDWilson.com, plus my caregiving library, online caregiver support programs, and programs for corporations interested in supporting working caregivers. Help, hope, and support for caregivers is here on The Caring Generation and PamelaDWilson.com.
Mike Zorek, a three-time California state champion in Greco-Roman wrestling at 114 pounds. Mike, blind since birth, was born in Hartford, Connecticut. He was a six-time national placer, including 2 seconds, 2/3, and 2/4. He also won the Veterans Folk-Style Wrestling twice at 152 pounds. In all these tournaments, he was the only blind competitor. Nancy Zorek, a creative spirit whose talents have taken her to the stage and into galleries and exhibitions in several states. Her father, a commercial artist who shared his instruments with his daughter and helped her fine-tune her natural abilities, influenced her decision to follow in his footsteps. Ms. Zorek has enjoyed a fruitful career doing what she loves. Listen Saturday mornings at 12 Eastern for the Nancy and Mike Show for heartwarming stories and interesting talk on the BBM Global Network.
Welcome back to the Moreness Show with Sil and Beena. And what we were doing before, we were doing capital R reading of one of my poems. And it was before that, I was just sharing that, okay, what I was perceiving as a reader, not as a writer, not as a poet, but as a reader, what I was reading, receiving it.
And this is a wonderful ability, by the way.
Okay.
Beena is sharing not only her perceptions as the poet, but the perceptions as a reader. And this is part of capital R reading, to be able to shift that perspective, right? So it's part of the process.
Okay, so just to make the connectivity, someone among us sitting there by you or me, breathing heavy, gasping air, but flaunting dimples, shining lips, clacking heels, nibbling Gurkha tips, smiling lips. Okay. We have this like a drama I shared before that, okay, yes, the curtain raiser, someone among us, please stay, okay, like it was a call, okay, stay connected with your own environment within yourself. And then, okay, sitting there by you and me, this is some more elaboration. Then breathing heavy, a next scene that, okay, someone is struggling, breathing heavy, gasping air, that there is something which is suffocating them. Could be external, could be internal. And then a statement, but like you are negating all the details before, but what is happening on surface? You cannot just go by that, like looking for visuals that, okay, someone is really struggling. No, it is negating all that. No, disconnect. And now go a bit further more. There's a moreness there because visually what it is there, flaunting dimples, like they are here, breathing heavy, they are gasping for air, but still they're flaunting their dimples. Vanity, first thing. Shining lips, like shining lip is something which is superficial. We don't have shiny lips naturally. So it is like, okay, shining lips, everything is superficial there. Clacking heels, it is like clacking heels I used at that time. It was about when we actually go and connect with other people, how we socialize. So it's like, okay, yes, I'm flaunting all my vanity, doing all the superficial things, and also I'm
like announcing yourself with the clacking heels.
Exactly, how we socialize, how we go and of course make a statement that, okay, this is how we are. Okay, nibbling Gurkha tips. As Sil mentioned, that what is Gurkha? Gurkha tips. Why I say that? Because Gurkha cigars are one of the best cigars in the world. It's all again.
Oh, interesting. At least in that area of the world, they know very famous, right?
No, actually in the world, not in that area of the world.
Okay.
Yeah, Gurkha cigars are very famous and expensive also. And they're nibbling on it. Why I say that? Because it is not a mediocre thing right there. Again, I say that, okay, I have this naturally that to create drama and get into the grandeur of expression. So it is not the mediocre thing that, okay, someone is just like, okay, having a cigar or cigarette or something. No. They are nibbling Gurkha tips. And nibbling, you know that, okay, if people who are into cigars, they know that, okay, they have to nibble first, the Gurkha, the cigar tip, and then they smoke it. Yes, so that's why it was like, okay, nibbling Gurkha tips.
So you're presenting an image of worldliness and sophistication, and also
exactly the word, the sophistication.
Right,
the
but also of having your needs met, right? Of having prosperity.
No,
to some
actually,
degree.
it's not about
No?
this. It was about the sophistication of the representation we have. It's not
Right.
just a
I see.
mediocre. Okay, I use those terms like clacking heels, shining lips, and all that because it was. I deliberately, I still remember, I didn't say that smiling lips. It was shining lips. You're not smiling. It is just the shining lips we have. So it's all about highly sophisticated way of expressing yourself, way of presenting yourself, because unfortunately, we all are highly sophisticated in making an impression.
So
This
to
is
me,
something.
the word that comes to mind is artifice.
Yes.
That
Yes.
whole part of that stanza is all about artifice.
Yes.
Artifice, right?
Yes.
Sophisticated
Yes.
artifice. Yeah.
Exactly sophisticated.
And by implication, if you can
Yes.
be the sophisticated, why waste it on this?
See the details here? Exactly. Exactly. This is the point that we have like every
Wonderful.
detail, every bit of detail is there. Like we are hiding it so wonderfully that we are flaunting our dimples.
Yeah.
Dimples you can only flaunt when you are smiling. And then you have a shining lips that, okay, yes, it is not natural. That's why you have shiny lips. And then you are clacking
Yes.
heels, like the way you are walking, the way you are connecting with
Right.
other people. It's like making a statement. This is who I am. This is look at me and all that, because clacking heels is also making sound there. And then the
Yeah.
bilingual tips, like I'm flaunting
Announcing.
my superficial assets. I'm
Yes, my
announcing that.
sophistication. Right.
Exactly.
And also,
Exactly.
Beena, I just want a quick comment. If we were to present this for the Western side, yes, Gurkhas are known for cigar people, but in the Western world, you could say nibbling Cuban tips instead of
Oh
Gurkha
my
tips,
God.
right?
Oh my God. Okay. Yes, I
Right?
can do that. Anyway, and then is smiling lips, because when things are superficial, they actually have no soul. When I'm smiling for the sake of presenting something which I am not feeling right now, it is going to less lips. Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Yes, I'm doing
yeah,
this, and
yeah.
that's why it was smiling lips. Someone among
Right.
us, again connecting. Okay, not necessarily you will see this sophistication in exactly those terms, but in a different way. Someone among us, trembling hands, abetting bones. Okay, at that time, they were two different things. They have trembling hands and abetting bones. It was like they are holding, in my understanding at that time, it was they are holding themselves up. Otherwise, they will fall apart. That was my understanding. There were two separate statements there. They have trembling hands, but also they are abetting bones. So they are
Should that be on two lines then, Beena?
exactly. That was my understanding at
Oh,
that time.
like that? Oh,
Yes, trembling hands, abetting bones. So this is what they were
oh,
doing. They are doing
oh,
actually. Like
okay.
otherwise they will fall apart.
Oh,
So
that makes more sense now to have it on a separate
yes,
line like that. So, all right.
yes. Faking life. Okay,
Yeah.
of course, technically that person is still
Right.
alive, but they are faking life. They are not
Yes.
actually living
Yes.
that life. So that was faking
Yes.
life. Dying inside. Okay, again, it was like dying inside needs time.
So must I put it on another line as well, yeah?
Yes, yes, they were like
Okay.
they are dying inside. Again, if I will say that in academic way, like okay, in the uh, uh, normal text way, that I will say
Yeah,
they are
I
dying
prefer this
inside.
like it's written like this now, by the way.
Yes,
Yeah.
they are
Yeah.
dying inside. Okay, they need time. This is how I was expressing. Like they are dying inside. They
Yeah.
need time. Okay, want peace. They want peace. Someone among us, or maybe us. This is the whole understanding of that poem.
We got 1 minute. Read the poem from start to finish, please.
Okay, okay. I might not be able to read it exactly like Sil, but I will try. Someone among us, sitting there by you or me, breathing heavy, gasping air, but flaunting dimples, shining lips, clacking heels, nibbling Gurkha tips, smiling lips. Someone among us, trembling hands, abetting bones, faking life, dying inside, needs time, wants peace. Someone among us, or maybe us, he said.
Oh, so beautiful. What a way to end. What a way.
Thank you so
Reading
much.
poetry is different to writing poetry. When I write, I hear a voice that's not necessarily my own. I know somebody else could read it better than I read my own poetry. It's just
No,
just
you
the
were
thing with
reading
poetry.
wonderfully. You are reading wonderfully because I do have a very heavy accent, and when Sil read that, and also he knows where to put emphasis. Really, really wonderfully. So thank you so much, Sil, for doing this. And of course, like again, it is making me so emotional. Again, it is like
It's me too. It's
hard to-
beautiful. It's beautiful, and that's the magic of it, right? It's about
Yes.
capital R reading is about connecting you to Moreness. You feeling more. That's the point of it, right? That's the point of it all.
Thank you so much,
Bye-bye.
everyone, for having us. And we will see you guys next week with a completely different topic. Who knows? Maybe we will continue with other capital R reading. We have
No,
so
it's going to
many
be on capital L learning next week. Capital.
Oh, wow.
Remember, we talked about it earlier. Remember?
Yes. Sorry, my bad. We will do capital L learning. And this is the real fruit. This is the real essence of things. Okay. Thank you so much for joining us. We will see you guys next week. And thank you, the wonderful team behind us. Thank you.
Yes. Bye-bye.
This has been The Moreness Show with Sil and Beena. Tune in each week as they focus on bringing joy and peace of being to us all. Thursdays, 9 p.m. Eastern on the Bold, Brave TV network. Powered by B2 Studios.